All right, so we're going to close out chapter 1 today with lesson 1.6, exploring angle pairs. We're going to talk about some terminology that you're probably familiar with. There may be a couple of terms that are new. So let's just jump in here. So the first thing that we're going to talk about that might be familiar, should be familiar, is complementary and supplementary angles. And so complementary angles are angles whose sum, remember, sum means to add, is 90 degrees. So the angles add up to 90 degrees. That is a complementary angle. Supplementary angles are angles whose sum, and so, add, is 180 degrees. So if it adds up to 180 degrees, that is supplementary. The term linear pair is probably new. That is another term for supplementary. So these two are actually used interchangeably. So they may say it's a linear pair, they may say it's supplementary. So one way we can remember this really easily is linear means line, or has the term line in it. And so supplementary angles form a straight angle, looks like a line. So that's one way to remember it. I also taught with a lady who had a really cool way to help remember this. She used to always say, it's easier to compliment 90 people than to supply 180. So I'll say that quite often in class because that's a good way to remember. So it would be easier for me to complement 90, because that's a fewer number, than to supply 180. All right, I'm going to go over here and we're going to number these. So we're going to call this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are not like 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree angles. This is just a way for us to refer to the angles without having all those letters, because it gets super confusing whenever we're talking about all those angles. So let's talk about adjacent. Adjacent is just next to, they're touching. So for example, let me come down here, change colors. Angle 1 and angle 2 would be adjacent. They're right next to each other. They share a ray right here. This ray is in between both of them. So 1 and 2 are adjacent. Okay. Change colors. Angle 2 and angle 3 would be adjacent. Again, see how these are together right next to each other? There's a ray right there dividing them. Another color. Angle 3 and angle 4. So right here and right here, you get where I'm going with this. So 4 and 5 are adjacent, 5 and 6 are adjacent, 6 and 1 are adjacent. Okay, so any angles that are next to each other are adjacent angles. So we just need to know that term. We're going to see that a lot throughout the year. The other term that's probably new is vertical angles. So vertical angles are angles that basically are formed by opposite rays. So like this ray and this ray go out this direction, okay? New color. This ray and this ray go out in opposite directions. And these angles right here that are across from each other, those are vertical angles. So angle 1 and, oops, I meant to make an and sign, angle 4 are vertical angles, okay? New color. Angle 6 and angle 3 are vertical. So see how this, make 2 marks here, and this one are across from each other. These are the opposite rays right here. And so then the last pair of vertical angles would be angle 3 and angle 2. I'm sorry, that's a 5. I can't even read my own handwriting. Angle 5 and angle 2. Okay, so that's the terminology that we need for this section. Now let's look at how we would apply this. Let me clear my screen. All right, so we're going to look at these. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get, there we go, back to the pen. All right, so let's look at these problems together. I have angle ABD and DBE are supplementary. So remember, when I see the word supplementary from now on, I'm going to think, oh, that means 180 degrees, okay? We're going to find the measure of both of those angles. So we're going to take what we've learned from the previous section, the sum angles, the angle addition postulate. So we're going to sum these two angles together. So we're going to take angle ABD, which is 3x plus 12, and we're going to add angle DBE, which is 7x minus 32. And we know that both of those together make 180 degrees. And then I just solve this equation. Okay, so Draw my line. Dad can pick chocolate muffins. There's no distribution, but I can clean up. So these two right here, I'll make 10x. Positive 12 and negative 32 is going to make negative 20. And you could have just done a minus sign, except I brought down the plus sign. All right, so now I'm going to add 20 to both sides. So I have 10x equals 200. X is equal to 20. And so that is my x value, but notice the question here said find this angle. I'm sorry, find the measure of both angles. That's what I'm trying to underline. So I need to take both of these and plug it in. So I've got 3 times 20 plus 12, that's one angle. And then I'm going to do 7 times 20 minus 32. So 60 plus 12 is going to be 72. Sorry, I lost my place here. And then 140 minus 32 is 108. Now I can easily check myself. So these are my two answers right here. But if I wanted to check these and make sure I did them correctly, I'm going to add these together. And when I do, I should get 180 degrees because these are supplementary. If I don't, then that's a way to tell myself I did something wrong. Okay. All right, let me move mouse. Let me move this out of the way. There we go. Now let's look at this last question. So I've got this time, sorry, get back to a pen. I've got complementary angles. So remember when we see the word complementary now, we're going to remember, oh, that's 90 degrees. So we're going to add the two angles together, 5y plus 1 plus 3y minus 7. And this time they're going to equal 90 degrees. So there's no distribution. I'm going to clean up. So I've got 8y, positive 1 and negative 7 is negative 6. Add 6 to both sides. So I have 96. Y, when I divide 96 by 8, I'm going to get 12. Right? But the question asked for the measure of the angles. So now I'm going to take 12 and I'm going to plug it into the 5y plus 1. And I'm going to get 61. And then I'm going to take 3 times 12, which is 36, minus 7, which is going to be 29. So those are the two answers here. But then I'm going to check myself. So I'm going to change colors here so we can see that this is just a check. I'm going to add these together. And so 61 plus 29 does equal, sorry, my pen won't go down this far, equal 90 degrees. And so that's a check. So these are my two answers right here.